Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is where I talk all about what I have been knitting, what I want to cast on soon, anything crafty and knitting related you will find on this channel. I hope you're doing well. I know it's been a little while since I sat down and filmed. I think I'm kind of on like a every 2-week schedule. Eventually I'd like to get back to every week, but every 2 weeks I feel like is better than nothing at this point. I'm definitely still not knitting as much as I used to, but I'm knitting, so I'm excited to be able to sit down and talk to you about that. So I won't keep you too long here at the beginning. Of course, everywhere you can find me is linked down below. Everything I talk about today will be down there as well. And I don't really have any announcements, so we might as well quickly talk about what I'm wearing. This is the first time I feel like I've pulled out knitwear in a while. It's been warm out, and of course I don't wear super warm things. Well, no, I really can't wear knitwear in the heat. I don't do well. But it's starting to cool down now, so I was really excited to pull out a sweater to wear, a cardigan. This is my Interthreading cardigan. It's a pattern by Sandler of Sandmade Knits. I was lucky enough to test knit this pattern, I feel like at the beginning of the year. I knit this out of some of my own hand-dyed yarn. This here is maple walnut, and I believe I used DK weight yarn for this. So 100% superwash merino DK weight yarn with, I am so out of practice. I have 231 yards per 100 grams in my skeins of DK weight yarn. So yeah, let me stand up. I'll give you a quick peek at this. Obviously I've talked about it before. I couldn't tell you what episode that was in, but if you go further back on the channel, I'm sure you'll see this in a thumbnail photo, and that's where I talked about it. So I guess before I stand up too, I should mention this is the first time I've stood up on the channel in months. And if you missed my last sit down episode, I'm pregnant. I'm expecting my husband and I's first child, and I'm gonna look pregnant when I stand up. So don't let that catch you off guard. But here is my cardigan. Here is my other project, my baby. But yeah, it's just a really nice, simple, higher round neck cardigan. Lots of positive ease, which I love. Just makes it feel super cozy and wonderful. And I did seam the sleeves on this. Did I seam the body? No. The sleeves are seamed, and then this is it a double knit button band? Gosh, I can't remember. I don't think it is. I think it just has a really clean edge to it. Maybe it is double knit. No, not double knit. But just a really nice clean button band. It's a really, really nice classic staple, which I feel like that's something I've been trying to knit a lot in the past year, is stuff that matches with lots of things I can wear all the time and I just feel really cozy and pretty in. So, and I love that with this being oversized, it still fits around the bump, because I swear in the past like week or two, I have really popped and I feel very pregnant. So, and I'm only 20 weeks, I'm only halfway. So I just hit 20 weeks on this past Saturday. So I still have a lot of growing to do. So I do have one baby knit to talk about. And at that point, I guess I can announce what we are having, because we did find out. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about my interthreading. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep it on. I feel like I say that every single time, but especially now, I am so warm with these lights. So we'll see how far we make it, but I'm excited to finally be wearing some knitwear and enjoying the things I've worked hard to make. So I thought I would talk about my Market Henley first. Since the last time I recorded, I would say this probably I've worked on the most. I would say for maybe the first week or two after my last sit down podcast, I exclusively worked on my Market Henley. And then now I've kind of been sprinkling the odd other thing in there. So I just had it, I transferred it into this bag that I love, just a tote bag from, it's from Brooklyn Haberdashery, right? Yes. But nice and big, easy to tote around with me. And I feel like once projects get a lot larger, I really like a tote bag because it's easy to leave all the yarn in there and pull everything out as I need to. So, oh look, there's my sunglasses I was missing. Oh, there's also an applesauce in here because I need snacks all the time. Anyways, this pattern, let's jump back to the beginning. This is the Market Henley. It's a pattern by Claire Jackson. I was testing this until I became very morning sick. And now I'm just slowly working on it and I would love to finish it. I love knitting oversized garments because I just feel cozy in them. But now I'm really glad because a lot of what I've knit should fit me most of the way through my pregnancy. At least that's my hope. So this one is an oversized knit as well. And so I have been enjoying working on it because I know it should still likely fit me no matter what size or point I'm at in the next year or so. Yes, Market Henley by Claire Jackson. I am knitting the size 48-inch bust for this one. I haven't measured my bust in a while. I guarantee you it's changed, but at the time I started knitting this, my bust was about a 40-inch bust, so that was going to give me about 8 inches of positive ease. I'm assuming at this point I'll probably have somewhere around 5 to 6 for the time being, but that's still quite a bit of positive ease, so I'm happy with that. Let me see here. So Claire in this pattern calls to knit this with Sunday Fiber Co. Kindred, which is a non-superwash merino, which is 437 yards per 100 grams. I do believe she also knit, let me look on Instagram here, but she knit a sample as well out of Explorer Knits and Fibers using her most recent collection that came out, the, is it Farmer's Market collection? And she used Earthy Sock for that one. So also a non-superwash merino, but a really, really pretty bright blue. So lots of different options on how you can use this. I think both of her samples are also knit out of a tonal, where I have knit mine out of something a little bit more variegated. I would say it still leans tonal, but it does have some speckles of some different colors throughout it. So I am knitting mine out of Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Cashmere, which is also a fingering weight yarn. And the colorway is Alpine. This was from, I think it was her winter mystery box last year. So I don't think you can get this color regularly, but yes, it's called Alpine. And the content of this is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and the yardage I did not write down. Don't have it written down anywhere. Oh, 400 yards per 100 grams. So it's a little bit thicker than what the original sample calls for, but I was able to get gauge quite easily on it, and I'm pretty happy with the fabric. I don't know if you can see, there is like a little bit, you can see light through it a little bit, but nothing super, super crazy. So what have I done since last time? Did I put a progress keeper on here? I don't think I did. We're getting back into things. I'm pretty sure I had a tiny bit of this sleeve started, like maybe a couple inches, and I did finish the one sleeve. There are a lot of decreases on this sleeve. That is what all of these stitch markers are. I put them there to mark every time I've decreased, and then once I start doing the next sleeve, I will move them over to that sleeve every time I decrease, so that I make sure I have the exact same amount of decreases on each sleeve, that I don't miss anything. So I have started the second sleeve, and I have what, maybe 4 or 5 inches done on this sleeve. This here, I always have to say, because people have questions, is a row counter that I love to use for sleeves from Twice Sheared Sheep. I always have a link down below for Twice Sheared Sheep. I am an affiliate, so just so you know, if you use that link, I get a small amount of commission from it. but it doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just like the company's way of saying thank you to me for sharing their product. I did purchase this myself though, so this one was purchased with my own money, but basically as you come to it every time you do a round, you slip it to the next circle above the next number. So then I don't have to click like a row counter or something as I'm doing my rounds. I just move it along, and then if I set the project down for a long time, it's easier for me to remember where I was. I didn't like use the row counter for another project and then I forgot to write it down and all that fun stuff. So I need to take this sweater off. Okay, much better, much better. Anyways, yes, row counter, love them. I have them on all my projects when I'm doing sleeves and stuff like that. Or if there's like a relatively long row repeat, say the pattern has like 12 rows or something, I'll use that even on the body just to remember exactly where I am. So great little tool I find for myself personally. But yeah, that is what I've done. I haven't done anything on the body. I figured I'd get both the sleeves done first and then the body would be a pretty mindless like carry around thing, just because this row repeat is only 4 rows. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy to remember, where the sleeves, obviously I'm having to remember some decreases and stuff. So it's a little bit more, I have to pay more attention, less mindless. That's what I was trying to say. That's where the Market Henley is. It's so lightweight and I'm excited to see when it blocks. Do I have my swatch on me? I should. Yes. Once you block it, the fabric opens up so nicely and you see this really beautiful waffle pattern. So I'm really excited to see this once it's all blocked and done and see how it grows and blooms, and I'm really excited to be able to wear this. Yes, I definitely should pull this out and work on it again, but I've kind of just been working on whatever my heart wants to work on. I haven't been taking on any new test knits. I just feel like at this point in my life, I literally don't know how I'm going to wake up and feel every day. So I don't want to have any commitments that I won't be able to fulfill. So that is what's working for me lately. It's just working on whatever I want to work on. And it's kind of been nice. Not that I love test knitting and I love the deadlines, and I'm excited to hopefully be able to do that again one day in the future. But for now, this is working really well for me. So yeah. But let's jump into my baby knit. I don't think I picked this up in the last week, but I did do probably a really good solid week of only working on this. The bag I have it in is, first of all, covered in dog fur. Hopefully you can't see that. But this is from Songbird Handmade. It was gifted to me very kindly, but I love it. It's a really well made and nice bag. I love when they have straps like this or little handles, and I much prefer a drawstring to a zipper because I zip my yarn up more than you would ever realize. So the project I have in here and what I have cast on for my baby is the little Bryce cardigan. This pattern was very kindly gifted to me by Kerri Blumer. Blumer, I'm so sorry. Let me know in the comments. I know you watch my videos. Let me know how to pronounce your last name properly so I can do it later on in future videos. Anyways, she very kindly sent this to me when I announced my pregnancy last sit-down episode. And when I saw this, I knew my baby needed a little cable cardigan to match my collection of little cable cardigans. And they're only going to be able to wear like winter knits for a little while because I'm due at the end of February and then it's going to start getting warm. So it's like, okay, we're going to make a tiny little cabled cardigan. And if that's the only like warm wintry thing I knit for them until the following winter, I'll be happy with that. So I guess here comes the announcement. We are having a little girl. I'm so excited. So excited. I would have obviously been very happy with any healthy baby, but I'm very excited to have a little girl to dress up and do their hair, and I don't know, it's gonna be so much fun. I'm so excited. So I am using for this cardigan Explorer Knits and Fibers Rockies DK, which is 100% superwash merino in the colorway Moonstone. It's like a mix of pinks and blues and purples. I used this in my memory is so lacking lately. It's a Rebecca Clow pattern, and I'm pretty sure it starts with A, and I'm gonna scroll and find it. My alder sweater. So that was my main color for my alder. And I had like a skein and maybe a third left, which was just about the perfect amount for this. So I thought it would be really, really fun to cast on a little cardigan out of Moonstone. And I hit gauge quite easily on it. The pattern does call for a sport weight, and honestly, I would say Explorinet's Rockies DK is more of a sport weight in my opinion. So this is what I have. You're looking, this is the back here, and these are the two fronts. So the two like front sides are completely done, and I'm going to work on the back and do a little bit of shaping, and then they will be connected at the top to create the sleeve holes to the sleeves, and then it has that really, really cute chunky collar that I will attach afterwards. But I just can't get over how sweet this looks. It's so tiny. It's so cute. So it's got just some really beautiful cables running down the back center, seed stitch here, and then those cables do run along the front as well. It is a little V-neck cardigan, so you can see kind of sort of, it's so small, the shaping there for the V-neck and where I will pick up the collar. And yeah, it's working up fast. I will say, people told me, and I should know, I've knit some baby stuff before, but people were like, you're gonna be so addicted, it's gonna knit up so fast and you're not gonna wanna stop. And that's how I felt for about the week I was working on it. And then I was kind of feeling yucky for a couple days, and then I wanted to cast something on for myself, which I did. So this has been sitting for a little while, but man, it was addictive because it works up so fast, especially these front panels. Like, there was only maybe 30 or 40 stitches in each of these, so they worked up so fast back and forth. And yeah, it's just so sweet. So I'm so excited to be able to put her in this. If it fits, maybe it will be the coming home sweater. We'll see. I don't know if I said this is the 3-month size. So it covers anywhere from 0 to 3 months. So maybe it won't, I could put her in it as a newborn and just roll up the sleeves and say whatever, but it probably won't fit her until a couple weeks in, month in, something like that. We'll see. But I also feel like knitwear is forgiving, and if it's a little big, no one really cares. So we will see. But I don't think I said what this pattern itself calls for. To use for yarn. It is Why Not Fibers Superior, which is a 100% organic merino sport weight, which I know I did say, which is 350 yards per 100 grams. So this is a little thicker. The Rockies DK is 274 yards per 100 grams, but I'm very happy with how the fabric is turning out. I think it looks really good. Baby's first knit. Very, very excited to be working on this, and so grateful to Kerri for gifting me this pattern. It was very sweet. I definitely teared up when it arrived in my Ravelry inbox, so thank you so much, Kerri. It's been so fun to cast this on. Oh gosh, I can tell that bag was covered in dog fur because I'm wearing black leggings and now they're covered in dog fur. Oh gosh, if you have a shedding dog, you know what season it is right now, and that they just endlessly, sorry, I kicked the camera there, I think, endlessly shed fur. So that is where I'm at right now with that. Anyways, the thing I cast on for myself. So I think I talked about this in last episode, which was just me cleaning up the craft room, because I tore apart a previous sweater that I had cast on ages ago, and it's just kind of been sitting and lingering so long ago. I don't even know if I'll be able to find it in my notes. I know I cast it on maybe, oh, here we go. The Amara sweater by Rachel Kurihara. Yeah, I cast that on, or I was working on it here. So I must have cast that on in 2022, so like 2 years ago. And the gauge on it just wasn't working out, and it was too open. I didn't like how the fabric looked. One of the main problems was that was when I learned that Explorer Knits Rockies DK is definitely more of a sport weight, at least for how I knit. And so yeah, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of annoyance. Knew I still wanted to use the yarn because I love the yarn, but then I almost didn't have enough for anything I wanted to cast on because now it was working up as a sport weight as opposed to a DK. And so I finally got some extra skeins of it on a D-stash, and I decided that I wanted to cast this pattern on. So I had been waiting to frog the previous project for a while. I just didn't feel like it, and I finally got around to it. So I have cast on the Artisane Cardigan, which is a pattern by Sandnes Garn. And I do want to say, before I get any further into this, the way Sandnes Garn patterns work is they come in booklets like this. So this is the one that has the Artisane Cardigan in it. I'll show you it in here really quickly. So there's a whole bunch of beautiful patterns in here, but the only way you can get these booklets is if you purchase some Sandnes Garn yarn. So they don't care what yarn you purchase. It doesn't have to be for the project you want to knit. You could purchase yarn for, say this, for example, that uses barely any yarn, and then knit what you want to out of the booklet in a different yarn, if that makes sense. So that is what I did. I just bought a couple skeins of their yarn. I do enjoy their yarn. It's not that I don't like it. I love their yarn. I've used it plenty of times at this point, but I knew that I wanted to knit my Artisane out of the yarn I'm going to show you. So like I was saying earlier, this is Rockies DK, and this colorway is Fidah. So it's a really beautiful creamy base with like blues, like very, very pale blues and purples and grays throughout. Just a really nice neutral, something I think for me is going to match a lot of my wardrobe. And when I saw the Artisane Cardigan, I just knew I had to knit it. It's so unique. I love how it has the cables on the one side and the texture on the other, and then there's another texture on the sleeves and the back of the cardigan. It's just so unique, and I haven't seen anything like it before, so I was really excited to be able to cast it on. So the pattern itself calls for, first of all, I'm knitting the size large. I'm holding some swatches here. I did a lot of swatching trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the cardigan, and we'll get into that in a second. So the pattern itself calls for Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, which is 100% non-superwash wool, DK weight, 118 yards per 50 grams. Held double with Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair, which is 57% mohair, 28% silk, 15% wool, 232 yards per 25 grams. So that gives you about a worsted gauge, I would say. The pattern itself calls for a gauge of 18 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. And so my original thought, because this is a sport, was that I would knit up a swatch that gave me a fabric that I liked, and then do some math to figure out what size I had to knit to compensate for that. So I did do a couple swatches. This one I think was on a 3mm needle, and this one was on a 3.5mm needle. Cast on 24 stitches for each of them, and then figured out how many stitches fit in 4 inches and did some math. And both times when I did this, I was going to have to cast on absolutely huge sizes, and I just was not liking the fabric I was getting. It was just, there wasn't enough structure to it. It was a little too holey, and I wasn't pleased with it. And so what I ended up doing in the long run is holding the Fidah double to get about a worsted weight, and I'm going to do it that way. Now, in doing that, I am squeaking in like really, really tight on yarn. I should have just enough to finish it, but also looking at the pattern, It calls for about 18-inch sleeves, and I don't think I've ever knit an 18-inch sleeve in my life. So I think I have some wiggle room there, and that should be okay. Because when I was doing these original swatches as well, did not like the fabric, but I was also going to have to knit about I think with the first swatch, a 3XL, and with the no, other way around. With the first swatch, a 5XL, and with the second swatch, which was a little bit bigger of a gauge, a 3XL, and I just was not enjoying the thought of having to have that many extra stitches on my needles. So yeah, now I'm knitting a size large because I have hit gauge with holding this double, and I'm quite pleased with the fabric. So this is what I have so far. It's just a really beautiful moss stitch, and you can see all the different colors there in the yarn. It's such a pretty neutral. So yeah, size large, holding the yarn double, and I really like how the fabric is. Once it blocks, it might look a little bit stiff now, but once it blocks, it really opens up, and it had some nice drape to it. I didn't keep the swatch from that one. I was using so much yarn up, and I knew it might be close, so I swatched with that one, blocked it, but left it attached to the ball of yarn, and then used it again when I cast on for this. So I don't have swatch number 3 handy to show you the drape, but it was beautiful. So very happy with that. So I'm going to be knitting this back piece until I think it measures about 6 inches, and then doing some shaping and stuff. This is knit in panels, so I'm going to knit the back panel, the front 2 panels, seam those together, and I don't think the sleeves are seamed. No, the sleeves are knit in the round, so I will only be seaming the body, which is fine with me because on my interthreading I seamed, and I'm quite confident with doing the mattress stitch to seam knitting up at this point. I was very pleased with how it turned out on there, so I'm not too worried about this, especially because there is a lot of texture, so I feel like it will hide mistakes quite well. Talked about how you can only get the pattern if you buy yarn. I think that's about it to say about this, but I need to get a project bag for it. I cast this on a whim last night, and it's just been floating around in other bags lately, so need to find a project bag for that so it's not just rolling around the house picking up dog fur. So the other thing I wanted to talk about that arrived in the mail, this was a gift, just so I'm totally transparent, is my copy of Memory Lane. So this is from Claudia, and she is the owner of Unit Toronto, and she also designs beautiful knitting patterns, and they were so kind to send me this book. They also sent me an early copy of one of the patterns in the book, which I did swatch for, and now I'm second guessing if I want to cast that one on once I flipped through this book. There's so many pretty patterns in here, and now other ones are catching my eye, and yeah. But the whole idea of this book is different ways of embellishing your knitting. So adding beads, adding embroidery. I'm trying to think what else is in here. Different textures, different fabrics, different yarns. I don't know. It's really cool. All of the patterns in here are very different, like very unique. You don't see a lot of embroidery on knitting these days, or like little lace cuffs, or let me see if I can find you some pictures in here that don't give away pattern information, or I can hold them in a certain way that I don't give it away. So like this sweater here, she used a really beautiful gold thread to embroider little butterflies on. I didn't even know this cardigan was actually in the book until I was flipping through it when I got it, but this cardigan I would say is more of a classic one, but still really pretty. I love the shape of it. This is called the Concased. I'm trying to find the one I was originally going to cast on, which is called Wings. Also, I feel like I'm breathing really heavy all of a sudden. I don't know why. Pregnancy. So I'm sorry if that is bothering you. This is the one, well, there's 2 in here now that I'm like, oh, I don't know. I kind of want to cast these ones on instead. Did I pass the first one? No. This one is called Aureliano. And I just love, and it might partially just be the colors too that I'm loving. But actually I can hold this back because that doesn't give anything away. But I just love how that one looks. I also saw someone else, oh, I can't remember who just cast that one on. So that might be part of the reason why I'm excited about it. This one has beautiful flowers attached. This one, oh my gosh, it reminds me of something my grandma would wear, but not in a bad way, like in the best way. It just looks like so granny chic, cozy. I don't know. This one is called Rosa. And that's more embroidery, but there's also beads on it too. Or is that embroidery? It shows it a little bit better there. And some beads added into it. I've never knit with beads, and so doing the swatch for the wings was really neat. I feel like even if that's all I do is the swatch, I learned something new, and I'm very proud of myself for that. So that was kind of cool. Actually, wings is the one on the front of the book, but I want to see if I can find a better photo for you. I still love it, but I'm just not sure with the phase of life I have coming up if I'm going to want to wear something like this, or if I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it. It's a lot fancier than I feel like I'm going to be wearing in the next little while, but it's like a lace. It's knit out of Surrey, and it has beads in it and a really pretty collar. I love the sleeves on it as well. They're huge and like huge balloon sleeves. It's beautiful. I definitely do still want to knit it one day, but it's like, do I put my time into it right now because of where my life is going, is the best way to put it. Where is the other pattern? Oh, here it is. Azul. Just, again, I love the texture on it. And I think it's also partially the colors. I love the colors too, but beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. I'm so grateful that they were willing to send this to me. And I love my knitting books, just to even flip through for color inspiration and all of that stuff. So if you have been eyeing up the Memory Lane book, I know I've been talking about it on my Instagram for a while now. It is available now. I think you can get it through Unit or Lina Publishing as well. So if that was something you're interested in, it is now published. So with that being said, I think that is everything I have to talk about today. I'm glad I have been getting some more knitting done. I know I'm gonna sit down and knit too while I'm editing this video. I don't know if I'll be able to get it up tonight or tomorrow. I am filming on a Tuesday, and I still haven't decided if I'm going to switch my upload date to Wednesday or not. Everything's up in the air right now, but hopefully this will be up soon for you to watch. And hopefully I'll get back to posting on Instagram again too. I swear, 2 months of like not doing anything and you totally lose your schedule, and it's so hard to get back into a habit. So yeah, but it's worth it for the baby. It is worth it, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, I will stop rambling. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked what you saw today, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot and gets my videos out there to other knitters and crafters on the internet. And I will see you again very soon. Bye!